All right, what's up everybody? This is Alex Comstock here with WhitetailDNA, and this is our third and final video out of this three-part saddle hunting series we've been doing. If you go back, we've got two others, my 2023 saddle hunting setup and 5 saddle hunting tips. I'll leave a card up here on the top. Go ahead and give those a watch. But in this video, we're gonna talk about saddle hunting and pretty much just answer the question of, is it worth it?
Let's go.
So this is a question I had a lot previous to saddle hunting. You know, this past fall was my first year ever saddle hunting, but I ended up probably saddle hunting just as much as most people saddle hunt, probably in multiple years, as we spent 70 plus days in the field, and I'd say 80% of them out of a saddle. So I learned a lot, just had to go through it the first fall saddle hunting, and like I said, going into it, there was a question to me was, is it worth it? You know, I'd hunted out of tree stands, you know, my entire life. Don't do a ton of ground hunting, but going into it, there's a few things that I learned that I really want to cover in this video and talk about. And the first thing is saddle hunting allows you to be extremely mobile. And so we hunt primarily public land by permission property. You know, we're bouncing around a lot. Rarely are we going to the same tree. Just from that alone, saddle hunting was definitely worth it. It allowed us to be extremely mobile. We didn't have to go in the summer and hang a bunch of stands, which previously we would buy, honestly, just a bunch of the cheapest stands we could find, typically from Menards, and get them as many trees as possible. And then we would have 1 or 2 nice stands, nice lightweight, you know, lone wolf, hawk. There's a number of them that we would have for hanging hunts. And we pretty much were able to eliminate that. You know, we have a few trees here and there that we still know that we wanted a tree stand in, because we wanted to, you know, with public land, we would kind of claim that spot, I guess. And so we would put some stands in a few trees. But for the most part, we were able to bounce around with the saddle, you know, and the sticks, and it's just super lightweight. And we were able to just get up trees, go hunt, climb down, and do it again. And just that alone really made it worth it to us. And I really enjoyed that aspect of it. And so with being able to be mobile and stuff, it kind of just changed the way we hunt in a way. And so like a great example is when we headed out to North Dakota early in the season. You know, we headed out there for an early season trip. We're gonna spend a week out in North Dakota, and in years previous, we'll spend a lot of time hanging stands, kind of like what I said, and then bounce around from there. And it can be a lot of work. But this year, what we did is I don't think we hung a single stand in North Dakota first week of season. We all just hunted out of saddles, and it allowed us, we actually had a lot of stuff that happened like the day and 2 before season. We had one property where cattle was moved in. We had another property where a bunch of people moved in, and we were able to adapt on the fly. And I ended up killing a buck out of a saddle, and it worked great. And I think it was my 3rd or 4th saddle hunt of the year. And just the ability to shift and ability to adapt with changes also, not just being able to be mobile, but just the adaptability, because stuff happens during the fall that you just can't anticipate. And with the saddle, it's easy. If you're going into a spot and, you know, maybe someone's hunting where you originally wanted to be, well, just walk and, you know, you can go to another spot. And we did a lot of that where we would scout our way into a spot, climb up a tree, and you're hunting. So overall, I'm going to say saddle hunting was definitely worth it. There are definitely instances in which you probably don't need to saddle hunt. Let's say you own a small piece of property and have a couple tree stands, or maybe even own a big farm. You know, maybe saddle hunting isn't always the route to go. I'm not saying, you know, you have to saddle hunt to kill big bucks by any means, but there's just, everyone hunts different ways. And the way we hunt, through, you know, a lot of public land, a lot of by permission, a lot of bouncing around, it was totally worth it. I learned a lot, being able to be mobile, be able to adapt, you know, on these trips and stuff like that. Even like late season, I had a bunch of stuff go wrong, and I was kind of bouncing around between spots, and the saddle made it really nice. So there are definitely things you want to learn. You know, you want to have a good system. Trophy Line makes a good ton of different packs. So I'd really highly suggest checking them out for saddle hunting. They kind of cater to the saddle hunter. So to make saddle hunting like completely worth it, I would definitely like highly suggest practicing out of it a bunch. We cover these in a couple of the other videos I did, but you know, being comfortable with a system, understanding how everything works with your tethered and your bridge and the platforms and the sticks, and just really coming up with the right system is going to help you tremendously. And so like with being mobile and whatnot, like there's even a different level of being mobile. Like a really good example is in North Dakota, Luke and Garrett were out there in the fall and hunting rut, and Luke was in a tree and he kept getting winded. And if you're in a tree stand and, you know, tearing down a heavy tree stand and moving it, that's just like a lot of work. And Luke decided he was just going to climb down and move trees, and he only moved like 50 yards, but he was able to get to where he wasn't getting winded, and it almost worked out. He had a couple of close encounters, but he wasn't getting winded anymore. And just like little things like that it just takes you to a whole new level of mobility. The last thing I want to talk about with saddle hunting is, you know, in the last few years, it's really come on and been really, you know, super popular. And, you know, like even a couple of years ago, I fully admit thought it was kind of a fad and didn't really fully understand it. And it can be easy to not understand, but once you get into it and actually practice, it's going to open up the ways in which you hunt. And even if you don't want to, you know, completely just saddle hunt, it can add a little bit more to your arsenal. It can just add another element to your hunting style. And to me, I think it's completely worth it. So like I said before, it all does depend on the style of what kind of style of hunting you do. But I would definitely recommend checking it out. If you're gonna get into saddle hunting, I would definitely highly recommend checking out Trophy Line. They make, you know, some of the best products in the saddle hunting world. We have been extremely impressed with everything this year, or like this past fall, and I'm looking forward to more saddle hunting this coming year. So I appreciate you watching this video. Again, this will wrap up our 3-part saddle hunting series. So go back and watch our last 2 for some more tips and tricks and just some more info on it. So with that, we're going to sign off, and me and Luke are going to head out to the woods, look for some shed antlers. Hopefully we can find some of those. Appreciate you watching. Hit that like and subscribe below. That always helps me out. And I'll see you here in the next video.